Hey guys, Art13131 here, and thank you for being such good students and showing up to these videos. Of course, that's how you're going to pass the class, so you don't have much alternative, do you? But it's nice to see you here, uh, relatively speaking, as far as I really can't see you. Maybe I should have a Zoom. If you guys want a Zoom, let me know. We'll do a Zoom. But typically they don't get too much attendance on them because of other conflicting things in people's lives that keep them from actually all showing up to one Zoom or another. So we're in week 4, and next week, week 5, the midterm presentation is due. So I'm going to talk about that a little bit right now. The midterm presentation is a 5-minute long PowerPoint or Google Slides or video that you would make where you're going to present on a particular artist or an art style or an art movement or an art technique or method. Something in art, artist, method, movement. There were several art movements. Look them up. Maybe you'll remember one or the other, or you have one in mind. But, Impressionism, Modernism, Surrealism, Futurism, and the Renaissance and all back then. Also, more modern times, so to speak, is pop art, performance art, and even abstract expressionism. All those were art movements. So you can maybe look up some sort of art you like, and find out what movement that would be, and then do something on that, or the particular artist you're interested in within some sort of art you like, and do it on that. Or it could be something in art history too that you want to talk about. Typically, so the presentation is 5 minutes long. You're going to time yourself uh, reading it and looking at the images, and make sure it takes you around 5 minutes, at a normal speed to get through it. So there will be text. Um, it can be brief and concise, of course, because it's only 5 minutes. So you're going to talk about the initial subject matter. Maybe there's a introduction to it, a body, and a conclusion, just sort of like an essay. But it doesn't have to be that long, of course, 5 minutes. You're going to pick and choose what you really want to focus on about the artwork or the particular artist it is, maybe a little bit about their background and what they do, why they did it, how successful they were, um, what art movement it was part of, why you like it. All that can be discussed. It's up to you. And I require at least 5 or more images of that subject. So if it's an artist, then 5 of their work. If it's an art movement, 5 that represent that art movement. If it's in art history, something about the art history in particular, images of art done in art history that had to do with your subject. I think you get the point. 5 images or more of your particular subject matter. And so, several, 5 different images that depict what you're talking about very well. And so the viewer gets a good understanding about what you're discussing and what you're presenting on. And most importantly, last but not least, it includes your own artwork done this term that is connected to the subject matter in your presentation. It has to relate to what you're talking about. The artist style, particular painting, what might be you did it on watercolor or you did it on something else. Like, it doesn't have to be what we're doing in this class. It can be woodwork or ceramics or cake making or costume, tattoos, dressmaking that is artistic, like costumes, and various other things that have to do with art that you could do this on. But you're going to have to produce your own artwork that is connected to that. So if you do something like really good makeup or tattoos, or something off the beaten path, so to speak, of what we're doing, drawing and painting, then go ahead and do that, and then show your own artwork on it. Cake making, maybe somebody did it on cake making once, and if you want to think out of the box and let me know what you're presenting on, you have questions, if that's okay, let me know. We'll discuss it. And it can be something totally different, but is artistic in one way or another. And then you're going to put this into either like a PowerPoint presentation or a Google Slides presentation. Some students have made videos where they actually talk and show their images. No, maybe they show themselves talking and holding up things, or the images, and talking about their subject matter. But it has to be around 5 minutes long. Okay, if it's really shorter than that, like 3 minutes long, it's not going to get as good a grade. So really time it as you go. We'll talk about it again in the next video, and then also the beginning of next week. But it's due by the end of next week, so that would be what we're in week 18. So the second, or sorry, the first of May. That would work. Okay. So now let's talk about the assignment number 7, profile portrait, which is a profile drawing. Profile, of course, is side view. And I always start off with something like this to give you a good understanding of the skull, because this is why when you got all your skin and hair on there, why it's shaped the way it is, because you have a skull underneath. And the jawbone, and the chin bone, and then you got this sort of perforation area where the teeth are, and then it comes in for the nose cavity, which everybody has a different sort of nose ending here. This is all skin and cartilage a little bit. Then, you can see why the eye socket is where it is too. And if you go up to the top of the head here, top of the skull, and go down to the jaw, the eyes are about in the middle of the head. Big mistake students make is they draw the eyes way up here, or they draw them here and then crop the head like this much around, like that or something, and they cut off half the head. It's not accurate. Plus, you can see why the back of the head and comes down and around to the neck, and then where the neck would be here too. So let me show you another template of this side of the head. Profile. So if the eyes are basically in the middle, or maybe slightly above the middle, but not by much, everybody's a little different, right? As far as what they look like. Skulls are not all that much different, within a certain time period anyway. They're not that much different. So the eyes are basically in the middle, or slightly above that. You have eye level here, about the middle of the head. So about the middle of the top of the head down, maybe a little slightly on the back side, that's where the ear begins. So the ear isn't actually in the middle. It's kind of in the back side of that halfway mark. Then you have your top of your ear is about where the top of the eye is. Bottom of the ear is about where the top of the lip is. So this is a good template to sort of match that out. And here they're going even further with like a rectangle shape here to sort of map out where the chin, how long the chin is. You can do that, or you don't have to do that. I'll provide a video, and then you'll see how they're drawing and what they use. Everybody uses, a lot of different artists use a different template. I call this sort of like an egg shape because they're very round back here, right? And then it comes down into the jawbone area. Actually, right here isn't accurate because it takes a turn to go up to the jawbone right there. That's where the jaw comes up to the front of the ear and then around. So this isn't really, that's just part of the neck. It's sort of giving you an idea how to map out the shape of the head, and then you're going to erase that part out. Then, you know, if you were to come down straight like this to make the egg shape, and then now it's on an egg shape sort of tilted, then you're going to make your lips, which have different curves to them. Lip, dip in. Then you have the chin, and then you have your nose with a little nostril part right here, and then going up over here. You'll notice that the eye is not right on the side edge of the face. It's dipped back in. You have an eye socket there, and the eye is back off of the nose, the bridge of the nose slightly. See, there's a distance there. There's a space. And the eye is not like a big oval shape there. It's kind of like a thin triangle shape. We have the front of the eye there. It sort of dips down because the top lid covers more of the eye than the bottom lid. So when you have a round eye in here, it starts going downward to meet the bottom and go around right about the middle, right here. And so you have your eyelid on there. It's not going to be way the heck up here where you have this whole big eyeball in there. It's going to look like you're like really excited or scared look, right? This is more normal or relaxed look, and it tends to be more of a triangle there. And then you have, you know, little folds here, and then up to the brow where the eyebrow is. Now, once you get all this going, you're not drawing from an imagination, okay? You're going to actually take a photograph either of your side of your head, have somebody do it, or somebody else you know. And I want you to work from a real photograph, not your imagination, okay? Because I may ask you, what were you working from? Send me the photograph so I can help you in the shading and the proportions if I find them to be a little off. And so you keep that photo around for me when I'm asking for it, because I'd like you to send that to me, and then I can see what you're really working from, and then I can help you a little more. So you want to have a photograph of what you're working from, not your imagination. Okay. So, and once you have all this sort of mapped out, then you can start all the shading and the details and the hair and all that stuff. And I would say lightly put this in so you can make adjustments by erasing out one thing or another. Don't make it real bold lines and everything. Another mistake students make is they make a bold line around everything. There really isn't a line around anything unless it's actually drawn on there with some pen or something on your face. It's really not there. Let me show you some examples of just a few. That's really dinky, I know. Yeah, it's really hard to see. This is a good one for shading, though. Very good contrast. Lights and darks around the nose, on the tip of the nose. Lips. The lips aren't one shade. There's reflection marks on that part and that part and that part and around. So you're going to see a lot of dark and light areas. You want this kind of lighting, too, so that there are shadow areas here and there. Let's go back. Whoops. I don't like the shading on this because it's scratchy. It's a good drawing in a way because there is shading, but it's like that sort of pen and ink way of shading. But it is okay. I'd rather you do the smoother shading, which is like this. Then you're talking about a smooth skin, not scratchy skin. Okay. This guy's ear looks a little small to me, but maybe, that's why I want you to send me your images so I can tell. Because typically the ear should be about right here. So that's another thing you want to look at. How big are things in reality to what you're looking at? You start mapping out the shape of the head and putting in the brow here and the nose, and then the dip at the top of the lip, and then the top lip, bottom lip, dip in the bottom where it goes to the chin and comes around to the jawbone, connecting to where now the ear is. But all this shading is very important, and they'll show you that in the video. So look for that video. I'm going to show you some Bing stuff here, what I consider strong drawings and what are not. This is kind of washed out, although it's very good for proportions. Most of the face is almost white as the paper, which probably isn't accurate. Everybody has a tone to your skin. It would be more accurate to put that tone in more than not, and then leave little areas where it's very, very light from reflected light on the skin. Like if you were to use this one as a way to understand the shading. All the skin has a tone, but there's lighter areas where the brighter areas are from light hitting it, and then darker areas where the light isn't hitting as much. The back here, in the back of the cheekbone, right here under the sort of jowls. I'm not all that good at saying what every part of the face is technically, but the nose, the nostril area here, the nose, bridge of the nose is lighter than that. You see there's no line around, no border line around anything. It's just the shading you're going to use. So the profile is the side view. It's not a view like this or this, which is more of a 3/4 view. The 3/4 view will work on another project, not this one. Let me see if I can find another one that's not showing the whole head, but it's a good drawing nonetheless. A lot of good shading in here. It's got a lot of character with that kind of shading. Everybody's going to do it a little different, right? But some of these are just void of shading, like this. That's really flat looking. Almost looks cartoonish, like this one is, which I don't prefer you do. I want to see a realism, not a made-up cartoon. Okay, with a big nose, with a large nose, it tips up really cute like that. It's cute, I understand that, but it's not accurate. Well, maybe you find somebody like that. Maybe you have a nose like that, but show me the photograph so I realize, yeah, wow, you have a nose like that. Or the big eye thing, the anime and all that. Cartoon, not really all that accurate to realism. So I want more realism. Some good shading here. There's a very thin line that's kind of depicting this here, but in my opinion, they didn't even need it. The line really isn't there. If you really look at the photograph you're taking, try to find a borderline. There isn't one. And it's just shading that ends when the background starts. So, I mean, you can have a really very, very, very thin one, but anything more than that, I think, is not accurate. This is more of the shading idea. There's a little bit of shading on the nose there to bring that light area in. It's a kind of a shading line, I call it. It's broader than a sort of a writing line. Okay, so try to not use the lines. Use a lot of shading. And what did that? No, don't do that one. But shade the face. It should have a tone throughout, and then darker and lighter areas to that tone. But mostly shading with tone. And so you can go to Bing or Google to look at any of these. It's kind of a 3/4 view, but it's more of a profile too, kind of in between because you see the eye over there. It's really a 3/4. This would be more of a, it gets a little bit more 3/4 as well. The profile is strictly side like this. These are actually, I think, yeah, these aren't drawings, but I don't know why they're here there, because I said drawings. Anyway, I think you get the idea. So look at the video, and that'll help you start mapping out and shaping with what you're looking at. Don't draw what they're doing, but take your own photograph of somebody and do your own way. It's kind of cool shading, although it is kind of spotty, like there's smallpox going on or something. I don't know. I'm not sure I like that one, but I mean I like the drawing, but the shading probably isn't accurate to real life. But if you can make that happen, and it really shows the shape of what you're drawing, then fine. But the most contrast is the stronger drawing, I believe. Just for fun, let's go to Google just real quick. And see what they say. Some of them are the same. Like I say, profile is straight. You don't want to see the other eye. So these are more cartoony. That's a good one. You could have any position too. You know, it could be a position like this. You see how most of the face does have a tone to it, and then there's very light areas where the light is kind of reflecting on there, changing the tone to really bright. But the midtones are probably very accurate to the tone of the face, and then you have your shadow areas here. So between the shadow and the shadow areas, the darker tones, and all the midtones, and then the little bit of light tones, you have good contrast going on. Okay, and just remember that lips aren't one tone the whole way through. They have several tones on there because of the way the light will hit the tip of them, or the bottom and the sides are dipped in a little and not catching the light as much. Believe it or not, this is actually a drawing. But you see the lips, they have bright areas, and then you have this frontal area here, and it gets a little darker here, a little darker there, a little lighter back here, then the neck and everything, the ear is a little bigger than that one I was showing you, that guy. These are really good drawings, you know, and I know it's a beginner class, but try your best. All right, so look for that video. That's all I'm going to say about that now. And start thinking about your midterm presentation. Maybe you want to start putting that together now, or asking me for some questions about what you're doing. And I'll give my input. And there's lots of templates, so you can start them in various ways. Here's one with a big ball, and then you put the facial features on, and then you finish up this part. There's various ways to do it. I'm going to show you a video about what I think it could be, maybe a couple of them, and then you decide from there and work out what you can. But the shading and the details are very important. All right, so any questions about the midterm or anything else, communicate with me. If you haven't got like week 1 and 2 to me by now, because week 3 is over, you should be, you know, sending me week 3 stuff now in week 4. And in 1 and 2, you have all that work to me. That's really how you should be working this. You're going to get way behind if you're not. All right. Thank you.